So what would happen if tomorrow you find yourself without a job? Or possibly you're soon going to be facing retirement. And once again, that revenue stream just disappears. Stay tuned for today's video because I'll be covering what I believe are the 10 most important strategies you need to get into place now for real financial security. Frank Thomas here, and welcome to Wealth Generation Strategies. If it's the first time you're visiting, thank you for joining me, and I hope to offer you some really awesome strategies to help build real financial security in your life. If you're a previous watcher, welcome back, and I'm glad you're here with me today. Today, I am going to give you what I believe is the ultimate guide to financial security. Now, I've mixed things up on what I think are the top 10 strategies, and I've got an awesome bonus at the end. The bonus is real life, baby, and you want to hear about it, so make sure you stay tuned. But in the 10 strategies I'm going to be giving you today, I'm going to be going through what I believe are from not the least to the most important, but what you should establish in a particular order. Number one is you need to establish adequate insurance. Now, you're going to think to myself, what's insurance got to do with financial security? Everything, man. Everything. You need to learn that you have to protect yourself with health, life, disability, property, and auto insurance. Nobody loves paying for insurance. I hate paying for insurance. But the number one here definitely is life, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to provide a safeguard through insurance in case the worst case scenario happens. Now, don't delay on this one, because especially when it comes to life insurance, if you become uninsurable, let's say you find out you have a heart condition, or you have cancer, or another big disease, you become uninsurable to life insurance companies. It might sound a little unfair, but you got to think about it from their point of view. They want to ensure people are going to live a long time, and it keeps their premiums as low as possible if they insure people who have a very little likelihood of using life insurance. But you want to establish it, because in a lot of cases, if you're in your 20s, getting enough life insurance to cover those around you that you love in case you die, especially if you're the breadwinner of the house, is cheap. You literally can get $100,000 of insurance for under $50 per month, of course, but still, how can you translate $50 into $100,000 anywhere else? There is no anywhere else. So you need to establish life insurance. And some people are going to go, oh, that's stupid and that. But trust me, I've went through cancer, and you just don't know what life's going to throw at you. And I was grateful when I was in the throes of cancer. There was a time when it was looking like I wasn't going to survive. And I had that comfort in knowing financially my wife and my children were financially okay. And that brought me a lot of comfort. So be sure to establish adequate insurance in all parts of your life. Again, the list is health, life, disability, property, and auto insurance. So there's 5 distinct areas. Okay, let's get to point number 2 here. Number 2 is another actionable right now item, and that's eliminate high interest debt. High interest debt, in my opinion, is like a vampire to your finances. You need to prioritize paying off credit cards and high interest loans to avoid being trapped by compounding interest. So what's high interest? In my opinion, anything that you're paying that is costing you 15 or more percent is too high, too much. Get rid of it. Most credit cards are between 20 and 30, and I've seen as much as 40% on a credit card. You don't want that, because the repayment period is such that you're just paying the interest off and you're not getting that principal down, and that's what you need to do. You want to consider methods like a debt snowball or avalanche for effective debt reduction. What that is you find the small, high interest credit cards or whatever it is you have in your credit portfolio and get rid of that first. hey, believe it or not, it might not seem like much, but you might have a credit card to a shopping store for $500 that's charging you 35%. Pay the darn thing off. Make it go away. It immediately frees up headspace, and you continue to do that, because what happens is, with the snowball method, or the avalanche method it's also called, is you take the money you would normally pay to, let's say, that store credit card, and you apply it to, let's say, your Visa or your MasterCard now. So what's happening is you're snowballing, or you're increasing how much you can pay to other things. And there's going to come a point in a day when all of a sudden you go from having too much month and not enough money to having too much money and not enough month for that money. And that's a nice place to be. So eliminate high interest debt. You're going to thank me if you do this alone. Point number 3. And this is all about improving your knowledge. I'm going to be telling you that knowledge is power, and it is. You need to improve 2 areas of knowledge in your life. One is financial knowledge, and the second is job-related knowledge. You need to improve both. Improving your financial knowledge is going to give you the ability to make even better long-term financial decisions. When I first started investing, I was making, 1 to 4%. But I've continued to improve my knowledge. Now, I am not a guru when it comes to anything investment. I always recommend go and talk to the professionals, and I recommend that you do, because they're going to start the process for you, but you need to understand it yourself. Now, I'm earning at least a solid 16%. Now, what does that mean? That means if I was only making 4% and now I'm getting 16%, I'm doubling my money way faster, way faster. And that's what it's all about. You want the whole idea of compounding interest to be in your favor and not against you. So improve your knowledge there. Now, in the second area, which is job-related knowledge, you want to increase and improve and specialize in the knowledge that you have in your chosen profession, because it'll make you worth more. Right now, I'm taking a few moments in life and I am picking up a whole new tech stack in the programming realm. That's my profession. What will that do? It'll give me the ability, once I have the certifications, to go ask for another $10 or $20 per hour. How does that translate out at the end of the month? Well, it's looking like I could earn, if I get an extra $10 an hour, it's going to improve my earning potential by about $1,500 a month. Now, it doesn't sound like much at $10 an hour, but when you kind of put it all together, it adds up very quickly. $20 an hour, $3,000. Is it costing me to do this? You bet it is. But you know something? It's very worthwhile to do. So increase your knowledge in financial things as well as in job-related knowledge. Okay, let's get to point number 4. But before we get to point number 4, if you're enjoying these strategies and you think that you can take advantage of them right now, tell me in the comments. Tell me what you're going to do, because I want to hear about it. And I promise you, I will respond back. Second, give the video a like if you're enjoying this. And if you're not a subscriber, consider subscribing. So there's my spiel. Let's get to point number 4. Avoid lifestyle inflation. Now, you don't hear about this very often, but I think it's a great way to put it. As you learn to earn more, don't spend more. That's the whole idea. Let's say today you're earning, let's say $5,000 a month. And then all of a sudden, with all the things you've done already, and you've gotten a better job, let's say, and now you're earning $6,000 a month. Don't go, woohoo, more life. No, live and learn to live on what you've already been making, and squirrel away anything extra into secondary accounts that are not your normal accounts, so it just doesn't get eaten up. This will allow you to use the growth of your income to provide a financial safety blanket. And that brings me to point number 5. You need to build an emergency fund. Oh my goodness. An emergency fund, in my opinion, is one of the most important things you can establish. And I say most important even over putting money away for retirement. I'm dead serious. Some might disagree, but I'm going to stand by this one. And let me tell you why. With an emergency fund, it's there for when things go wrong. You have an emergency. Right now, I'm in the midst of an emergency, and I have been chunking away like a crazy man for the last 13 months because I knew there could be a possibility that I was going to have a period where I was out of work for a little while, because I'm a contractor And there's times when I'm working and there's times when I'm not. So I always establish a really healthy emergency fund. Where do you start? Save at least $1,000, and that's for drop dead emergencies. You have to replace a starter on the car. You have to replace a stove. You have to fix something. This is not for a new iPhone, okay? I'm just going to get that straight out right away. This is for emergencies. Learn how to increase this, and you want to save at least 3 months of monthly expenses. Another, for example, my monthly expense load is about $6,000, $6,500, around there. So I made sure I saved at least that times 3. And you want to go one step further and save 6 months in the future. That way you can cover yourself if you're completely out of work and you're making no income for 6 months. You have no idea how much peace that brings to you, knowing that you got a lot of money sitting in the bank. Right now, within my TFSA, which is a tax-free savings account, I have 14 months saved. Now, it's not all for emergencies, but it can be. But it's there, and I know it's there, and it gives me a lot of peace, and I can sleep at night, and I'm not racing to find the next best gig or job. I can be a little choosy, and I can take a little time and become a little more educated, and I can relax a little. I can have a little bit of holidays because I normally don't take holidays. So I'm taking some holidays too. So you got to build an emergency fund. I promise you, this will help you. It's helped me on many occasions in my career. Let's get to point number 6. We need to learn how to invest the extra. With the establishment of your emergency fund and other extra cash, now it's time to start to invest the rest. What you need to do is you need to discover a moderate or low risk investment, and a good one in my opinion is into an index or an exchange traded fund, an ETF that's a basket of stocks that follows and has stocks from the S&P 500. You can make an easy 6 to 10%, if not more, based on the ETF or index fund that you choose. Why do I would say this? Because it's easy. It's really easy. You can establish a brokerage account with your favorite investment company. I'm with Press Trade. I have all my accounts in there, and I have saved a lot of money in there, and it's just easy. It's an easy way to start. Just in that alone, I recommend you start doing a little discovery. I know everybody always asks, well, Frank, what do you invest into? I want you to discover that for you. Again, look for anything that is a basket of stocks that tracks the S&P 500. In other words, that basket or that whatever that security is has stocks from all those S&P 500 companies. It's very low risk, in my opinion. You would have to have a complete stock market crash, and we haven't seen one since the crash in 1929. But even then, all those stocks came back up in a lot of cases. So there you go. This will help you to establish a slightly better rate of interest with, in my opinion, acceptable risk, but you got to do your own homework. Number 7, use government-approved tax reduction accounts. And I'm saying it this way because I want you to think about this a little differently. In Canada, we have what's called a TFSA and an RRSP. The former is seeded with post-tax income, but the gains are tax exempt. That's for the TFSA, or the tax-free savings account. The latter is seeded with pre-tax income, but is taxed on withdrawal. So in an RRSP, you can put 100% of whatever you've made, your gross pay. Let's say you chunk out $1,000 of your gross pay, and you say to your pay office where you're working, put this right into my RRSP. They're obligated to do that for you, and they will. They will put it in your RRSP for you. And I would even say if you have a RRSP plan at work and they are going to give you money for contributing into it, I'm sorry, and I don't mean to be cruel when I say this, but you're a moron if you don't, because it's free money. There was one time I was working for a company, and it was like I was getting about an 8% increase in pay by maxing out what they would give me because I was putting it into my long-term savings, and it benefited me both ways. Number 8, establish a budget. And I've held off on this one because I want you to get through the grueling stuff, get things happening, And now you're going to start to see why establishing a budget is really smart. You just need to create a simple monthly budget to manage your income. It all comes down to what you can measure is what you can manage, and what you don't measure will manage you. Make sure your budget is focused on what's in it for you first approach. In other words, you would think, okay, I got paid on payday. This is my money. Yay, I got after pay and after paying my taxes, $4,700, let's say. Yahoo! Is it really your money though? Or are you just a custodian of that money for that pay period? Think about it. You got to pay your rent or your mortgage. You got to pay your taxes. You got to pay your insurance. You got to pay the dog groomer. You got to pay your groceries. You got to pay all this stuff. And when you're done, if you haven't established in a what's in it for you first approach, you ain't gonna have nothing at the end of that pay period. And you've got nothing for all that hard work you put in. What you need to do is you need to make you a line item in that budget. I have 2 line items in my budget. One of them is my emergency fund, and my second is my wealth building fund, my RRSP, and I contribute to both each and every month. So you need to establish a budget and make sure it's, like I said, what's in it for you first approach. That way you actually have something after that pay period comes and goes. And I promise you, it does snowball over time. Point number 9, learn how to diversify your income streams. Now, this is a little more extensive, and it's going to require work for you, and it's going to take a little longer possibly to establish, but it's really worthwhile to do because most of us have exactly one income stream, our JOB, our just over broke, our job, okay? I'm just going to call it like I see it. So how can you perform work outside of your normal 9 to 5 to establish another income stream? And that's what you got to think. What can I do? And it might be what you're doing in your normal daytime job, but it's outside of your daytime job. For example, because I'm a programmer, it's a very transmutable thing I can take to other places. And what happened was I had another programmer friend approach me who needed help, and I worked with him for about 8-9 months, and I was able to make another $50,000 or $60,000 on the side, outside of my 9 to 5, and I put it all away, baby, all of it. So what can you do? Also consider this income to be extra and 100% savable if physically possible. I understand some of you have to work extra jobs just to get the bread and butter on the table. I get that. But when you get to the place where this is money that you don't need in your normal day-to-day, save it all. Save 100%. This can also provide you with alternative primary lines of income in case your normal job is at an end. And this has happened to me recently. As I mentioned earlier, I do contract work and I work gigs. And I knew when this contract was running out, it was at a bad time of year and it was going to be hard to find another gig. And I started hunting early, didn't really come up with anything I loved. So I'm still on the hunt, but because I've done everything else on this list, I have that emergency fund. I got like 14 months of savings sitting there. I'm good. I can hunt after the fact. So I'm also taking advantage. And one of the other points, I'm increasing my earning potential by increasing my education and my primary vocation. It can happen to you. I've seen it happen where people, they go into work and all of a sudden there's mass layoffs because the company is in trouble and you're out of work and it's nothing you did wrong. And that's the way the cookie crumbles, baby. You just got to be ready for that. And also, if you're married, get your spouse involved in all these points early. That way, they can possibly pursue their own career dreams and provide a quick win second income stream. So I recommend that absolutely. And for an example, my wife has a quilting business and we've worked very hard to build up her quilting business. And whenever we get into a situation where we need to make extra money, we ramp up her business and it starts making a whole bunch more money. And she loves it because she has a break when she doesn't need to ramp it up and she's just making moderate income. When we need to, she can ramp it up and she's actually completely replaced her income on occasion. Okay? So think about that and get those extra streams of income happening right away. Number 10, and be sure, like I said, stick around for the bonus because I'm going to be telling you a little bit about a real life situation and you want to hear about it because maybe it's going to give you hope. Number 10, set financial goals and review them regularly. You got to do this because if you want to stay the course, you need to establish clear and obtainable, and this is important, obtainable short-term and long-term goals. Also, you need to have plans for the worst case scenarios. For example, I had a worst case scenario already planned in case I couldn't find another gig at the end of the year here, and I've enacted that worst case scenario. That's fine. So make sure you build those plans, and you need to do this because if you don't, it's going to be very hard for you to stay on the wagon, so to speak. How can you say no when you don't have a reason? And that's what it all comes down to. No, I don't really want to do this. No, I don't want to go out. No, I don't want to spend the money. No, I want to forego this vacation. I'd really like to go on it, but my goals are more important. The long term is more important. And when you can see how it'll all come together one day, it'll really motivate you to get there. So make sure you got those goals. But let's get into our bonus. So what does this all look like in real life? Well, let me give you for instance. The for instance is, like I mentioned throughout the video, I'm a contractor and my gig ran out. Now, the marketplace is really weird in the programming realm right now. There's a lot of people looking for work, so there's a big supply and very little demand. And when you can get an interview, you're competing against a lot of people, and that's fine. That's the way it is. But again, I have that comfort to know that I don't have to lowball to just get working again or take something I don't want. I can take some time, and what I've decided to do is I've decided to learn a whole new tech stack because in government, there is a need for a tech stack called Angular because it's considered secure and it's used by large companies and government quite a bit. As well as I want to build an investment tool for you guys, something you can use to do simple calculations for absolutely free, or possibly, I'll set up a monthly subscription on it long term that'll be really inexpensive, but allow you to learn how to save and invest and put away for that long-term goals. I have a lot of plans here and I have a lot of things on the go. So I'm really digging into that and getting into that because that's all part of my plan. And then I'm going to continue to just keep hunting and see what I can find in the meanwhile. I've decided that I'm going to be looking for a job that offers me the most flexibility of being remote or hybrid instead of having to go into the office. Going into the office sucks. It just consumes so much time and it makes it very hard to actually work secondary things. And I'm not saying that I'm going to try to work two jobs at the same time. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not trying to scam anybody. What I'm saying is if I've got to drive into town to do a job 5 days a week, it's a 12-hour commitment every day. And you only got 24 hours. You can't grow any time in a day. So that means, and that other 12 hours, I got to come home, I got to relax, I've got to get myself ready for bed, I got to have a sleep. Once you axe everything off that needs to get done, I ain't got no time for me or establishing other things. But what happens if I have a fully remote position? Let's look at the pendulum on the other side. And let's say it only requires me to be there for 8 hours, like just a normal job. Hey, that's awesome because now I have freed up 4 hours a day that I can use for whatever I desire. I can cut a new YouTube video. I can continue working on my application for this channel. I can learn something new. I can do so much. And again, it's part of my plan. And this all brings me joy. And in my current state of mind, I'm relaxed. And I know I have opportunities in front of me because of all my preparations. So I hope these 10 strategies and a bit of a description of what's going on right now, the bonus, is going to help you and help you say, hey, yeah, I need to put these things into practice. And if you're thinking that way, I have another video for you. And it's all about why is saving in 2025 so darned important. And I'm not going to give any hints away because it's a good video. And it's gotten a lot of people viewing it and commenting going, yes, I'm with you. So be sure to check that video out. If you do, I'll see you over there. If not, have yourself a wonderful day and thanks for joining me today. And if you've really enjoyed this video, subscribe. Thank you so much. Frank Thomas here. Let's keep on making it happen and let's get rich together. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.